one thing I wanted to ask you is for potential landlords and investors, yeah, from a gas point of view, is there anything that they should be looking out for when they go and view new investments, let's just say?
Yeah.
Is there anything that they can, from that point of view, be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. So if they've got gas burning appliances, see how old they are, if they've got up-to-date records, gas safety records, if it's been serviced, if they've had like, home care plans, etc. They usually give you reports annually for the condition of your appliances. That's one. Second of all is age as well, how old it is, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so one thing, like, even when I'm going to look at properties, like, if I see, and this is something from, like, from a long time ago, like, I've always been like, you try and figure out how old the boiler is. But how do you figure out how old the boiler is? Like,
Okay, a good rule of thumb is if you have a plastic white pipe. Okay.
Plastic white pipe.
Yeah, that's what we call a condensed pipe.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's black, but 9 out of 10 times it's white color. Yeah, plastic pipe. So that would make it post 2005.
Okay.
This is when the laws changed with gas boilers. So 2005, anything that came into production or into the market after 2005 had to be condensing.
Yeah.
Prior to that, they were all non-condensing.
Sure.
This helps with the efficiency, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to kind of look at the boiler. Has it got white pipe?
Yeah.
Okay, that means it must be up, post 2005. And anything before that is pre 2005.
Sure. Even if it was supposed to, it could still be up to more than 10 years old, right? And how long should a boiler
Okay,
last? That's
generally speaking, a boiler, especially the modern type boilers, modern type boilers are a bit more sensitive than the older type boilers.
Yeah.
Boilers from the 80s and 90s were indestructible. I kid you not.
Oh, yeah,
Cast
they're
iron.
built to last, yeah?
Yeah, man, and you just do small repairs on them and they work, but they're not as efficient.
Okay.
And they do clog up system, which requires flushing.
But the body of it lasts.
Yeah. And a lot of the time when I've come to replace them, it's only because the parts have become obsolete.
Okay.
Yeah, so they stop producing the parts. So they're forcing you to change.
So sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I'm looking at a boiler today, and I'm going to go in the evening, and it's from when I was born. So literally the same age as me. And it's a Vaillant as well. So the older boilers were gold, as they say. But that's one way to look at it. I mean, if a boiler has lasted you 12 years, 15 years, 12 to 15 years with no maintenance at all. A lot of the landlords understand they're treating it as a business. They don't get service every year. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in a sense, it's their choice to have it serviced or not. There's nothing wrong with it. And I've seen like 12, 15-year-old boilers, no service, nothing at all. It's been running sound. And it's still going strong. Generally, if you get 12, 15 years out of the boiler, it served you well. Without no maintenance or no repairs.
Okay. But so if you are servicing it every year, should it last longer?
I wouldn't say it will increase the longevity of the boiler because some manufacturers state that every 5 years, namely Vaillant and Baxi, you should have a full strip service. That's what I would more emphasize on than having it regularly serviced, in a sense, because the annual service, personally, it may prevent a few call lights, like a blocked up condense, for example, because part of the service is, you clean the condense out. It may prevent that, and spark electrode, give that a clean. It may prevent a call light here and there, but in terms of longevity,
not really much of a difference. Okay, fair enough. Do they sometimes have stickers on them telling them when it was been installed as well?
Yeah, so if you can locate the serial number of the boiler, usually, so on Vaillants, it's the third and fourth digit that indicates the year the boiler came out of the factory.
Okay.
So third and fourth digit. Okay. Yeah. So you might have like 2118. Yeah. So that would mean the 21st week of 2018.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So the third and fourth digit.
It indicates the year. Yeah. So that's mainly on Vaillants, and Baxis as well, similar type. You see the third and fourth digits. They're the two digits to look out for. That would indicate what year the boiler's from.
Okay.
Ideal boilers. They usually, if you look for the data badge, they usually have the year, like it's stated, like 27, 3, 14, 15, whatever. It's usually stated. Sure. Worcesters are kind of the same. serial number, look for the third and fourth digits. Yeah, you figure out what age the boiler is. Also, another thing I'd like to add, when potential investors are looking to buy properties as well, especially newer dwellings, so the properties that were built, mid-90s up until like the 2010-ish, that kind of era, a lot of them had gas boilers, and some of them had thermal stores. So thermal stores and electric heating and thermal store. So your heating and hot water is by electricity. Some of them had the gas boilers, and the gas boilers that the designer or the architect, I don't know who was responsible for it, they've used twin flue system. So remember I was explaining what a flue is. It discharges all your bad products of combustion out to the outside. They've run two twin flues, and they're non-condensing. So when it comes to replacing them, you have to have a condensing boiler on. And once you replace your condensing boiler, the entire flue has to change. Because the non-condensing boiler, there's no liquids coming back inside the boiler. Condensing, you get like fluids. It's condensing. You get droplets of and it drops back into the boiler, and then comes down through the heat exchanger back into your condenser pipe and discharge. So when we go to quote for a change, and we've done 2 recently actually, you have to run a new flue length, and the designers and the developers of that era, right? They've put the boiler in the center of the property.
So the
flue's traveling through like the one we done on Saturday was 6 meters.
Wow. So just to give people an idea, usually you'll find the boiler right next to the outside wall, right?
That's right.
So that the flue's short. It's like
it's a meter, half a meter, max. The boilers come with a meter.
But this is in the center of the road, so you have to run a 6 meter flue
along the living room, the bedroom. Do you understand?
It's not a little pipe, innit?
No,
flues are big, right?
Yeah, so we converted them to concentric flues. So concentric, because the previous ones were twin flues. So essentially what a flue does is, right, the inner part is plastic, concentric flues, Inner part's plastic, that discharges the products of combustion, and the outer part's metal, that sucks in air for combustion purposes, because to create fire you need fuel, ignition, and oxygen. So it works for both. And the older type ones were 2 individual pieces. So one was pushing the products of combustion out, and one was sucking air in. So so this is one thing to look at. It can get costly, especially it's always a good. So these were Power Max, the floor standing boilers, and that was probably about 25 years old. Probably was put in when the building was finished, completed, and they've run the flue, and the ceiling's all plastered, spotlights are all in, so you can imagine the cost involved. So we've run it on surface, and it's down to the leaseholder as to what he wants to get. Either he boxes it up or leaves it exposed. So that's one thing. Actually. Definitely, I'll recommend any investors, any potential people that look to buy properties, especially and. In one case, we've had to convert the gas boiler into an electric boiler because you don't want to bear the cost of ripping the ceiling out.
Wow, okay.
So we had to go for an electric boiler. And electric boilers, they're not as good as gas boilers. And this is another subject we can touch on later on. Gas, electric, air source, and renewables. Electric boilers do not produce heat as well as gas boilers. So gas boilers
how do electric boilers produce it? Because gas is like there's fire, right?
That's right.
And
that's right.
The pipe is going like this, right? And the fire's underneath it heating.
So electric boilers. So there's the electric. It's basically a massive tube inside where water will travel through, and that's got heating elements to it. So that would heat it up, and then it would either go to your radiators or to your hot water cylinder. There are electric combis out there, and we've done a couple this year actually. The hot water will work fine, right? But the heating you'll always get issues with, because it doesn't produce enough heat, especially if you've got a large property. Smaller flats you can kind of get away with, especially if you've got a larger property. And you got like 2 or 3 floors, it can be a struggle to heat it all up, because they produce heat up to about 60 degrees, and a gas boiler will easily do 80, 85 degrees on heating demand.
And is one cheaper to run than the other? Gas?
No. So I mean, they'll from my personal experience, gas is always more efficient. Even though the scaremongering around gas in recent times, because what happens with gas, right? It will modulate right? If you've got a modern boiler with modern controls like a Nest or Honeywell, like a modern type of OT type of thermostat, it would modulate the boiler. So, for example, if you've had your thermostat set to about 20 degrees, and you know your property is reached 18.5, 19, it would then communicate with the boiler, say, look, we almost reached temperature, tone it down a bit. So that way you're burning less gas, and it's not always at 100. Whereas electric, it's always at 100.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it doesn't modulate as such.
Okay. So it potentially, I mean, not potentially, it is more expensive.
Yeah,
is
it
more
can be. And especially people that have installed underfloor electric heating, and that's absolutely useless in a sense, because it takes almost an hour for it to warm up.
Yeah.
As soon as you turn it off, it's going to get cold.
Yeah.
Because it's dry, because it's electric cables that are emitting heat.
Oh, you mean that type of electric?
Yeah, electric underflow heat.
Okay.
So the wet type, which comes off a gas boiler or like a manifold, once the boiler's turned off, the water within the pipes is still hot.
Yeah.
And it's still emitting heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
can you not have the electric boiler
running on the underflow heating? Yeah, of course you can.
But water heat.
Yeah, but from my personal experience, you'll probably have to install. Exactly. You'll have to probably install 2 electric boilers to get it to temperature. It's not exactly because you got to remember underflow heating. You've got the pipes, then you've got a layer of scrid. Then if you've got tiled on there, you've got another layer of adhesive, and then the thickness of your tile. So it is quite a bit of heat to come through.
Yeah. We've got it in the back, you know, where I sit in the office. So.
Yeah.
But we don't even use it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But because it takes so long to heat up.
Exactly.
To be fair, it stays hot afterwards, but it's just I think it's really expensive as well to run.
It is.
Because we don't have
they
water
they say it increases your energy usage up to about 40%, up to 40%. Whilst you're running it, so it is a lot more expensive.
Yeah. So anything else people need to look out for?
Radiators. If they go in and they run the heating. On their viewing and see how well the radiators warm up. This would be a good indication to say how good the system is. So if you're getting cold spots in the center and bottom part of the radiators, that's usually a telltale sign of sludge and debris build up.
So that would mean changing the radiators, or
there
flushes?
are a couple of options. So flushing would be the first option. Changing the radiators can get a bit more expensive, especially if you've got 8-10 radiators. Flushing would be an option. Flushing has worked, and it does work, as providing it's been done correctly. Dosing the system with anti-corrosion inhibitor and stuff would help the system massively.
Is that chemicals?
Chemicals. Yeah. So when you
do you remember Ibo?
Cool. He's a legend. Cool. You should get him on here, man.
I don't think he would come on. He's one of our most experienced plumbers, but he's I don't know. You speak to him and stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But, sometimes he doesn't, tell you everything clearly, but he'll be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a flush, or he'll be like, yeah, just sticking chemicals inside, that's the kind of stuff he used to say.
So that's one thing that I would advise investors and landlords to look into before buying. Make sure the house all warms up, boiler age, positioning of the boiler as well. That's a big factor, I mentioned.
That's some good stuff to think. Even for me, I've been investing for a long time, but sometimes you don't fully know what you're looking for. You just do things on a whim sometimes.
Yeah, of course.